Rachmaninoff, probably one of the most popular piano pieces, is so iconic. Bells like. Bells of Moscow, they say. But then again, harmonically, it's very richer than just bells of Orthodox Church sounds. And also, it's a very beautiful double prelude, the assertive dominant tonic statement. As the introduction to the Chopin's Prelude. But nevertheless, it is a Russian, downbeatish, and at the same time heavy. By that sense, gravitas, weight, and not so much dynamically soft in the texture, but dense, intense in the softness, dynamically speaking. Fortissimo to pianissimo give the pleading with the crossed thumbs and the appoggiatura. Which can be voiced in the top part, and then these should not be perhaps always fortissimo, but should not be light pianissimo. I think the dynamic marking should be more specific about the two portions of the prelude. Is a piano and orchestra concerto, could be almost together. And it's superimposed. But here in the prelude for piano solo, as it is, it's alternating one after the other. These two entities, the pleading and the assertive, the downbeat and the upbeat. The upbeat is in the pleading. Oh, please, no. Oh, yes. It's assertive. And even when it says pianissimo, I think it should be heavy, like Bidlow in the Mussorgsky pictures. This kind of sense that everything downbeatish has more gravitas and weight and heaviness than just being loud. Of course, in the middle section, which is agitato, one needs to bring that downbeat feeling too, with a mournful dropping chromatically. Then I too, the phrasing, and then again. Not the Western style, which could have been what it isn't, because it's downbeat departing the phrase and therefore ends on a weak beat with the crescendo. So you feel the sense of exhaling and moaning, this exhaling. This agitation is more about soulful inner agitation. The chromaticisms, rather than the dynamics or the tempo. Because it is mezzo forte, I believe it cannot be mezzo forte. It should start dynamically soft and then build up a sense of urgency. I'm trying to get a way out, but I can't. C sharp with a fist is not appropriate. I wouldn't teach it, but I play it. So if I not, I have to play what's written. And anyway, way, Rachmaninoff was a performer beyond composer only. But because being the composer through his fingers, I'm sure these exaggerations he might not accept, but it's so tempting because it is so energizing and building up of this extreme tension until the recapitulation after the cascade. So, okay, it could be a bridge transition, but in fact it is more like the high point of the middle section. And then when he returns to this heavy chordal, again, that reminds me a lot of the same sense of deep downbeat. Every note is played on the exhaling, like in the Mussorgsky's pictures final piece about Kiev's Gate. And also the bell sounds, or the... And in Mussorgsky you have both evoke operatically almost on the piano, even through this short prelude, this kind of grandness of resonance with bells and chorale. Piano and orchestra, two pianos, it's anyway double, but alternating chord, then the lament, then the assertive chord. And it has to have this grand, slow procession that allows for the tempo to unveil itself through depth and width of the sound, rather than only the percussive aspect of the piano as an instrument producing the sound by the hammer hitting the string. So rather deep rather than reactive, rather weight and then release of tension at the wrist, and very supported palm, and the fingers deep in the keys from close up to create a sense of fullness of resonance, where you don't have just the impact and of the hammer on the string, but also the resonance of the length of it with the pedal. Of course it helps. Noted that Rachmaninoff doesn't indicate in his writing that there is a middle pedal or third pedal which would allow to separate the facts and not have it all blurred. But in a way, in the right foot pedal only, it's the eternal problem of, do we use the middle pedal, and if we do, we have to still use a lot of the right foot pedal so that it's not dry when this is separately holding, because then it's compartmented, but at the same time it has to blend and coat the whole thing in a sauce of resonance. This room is dry acoustically, so it appears dry without too much right foot pedal, but with short and light right foot pedal and the middle pedal holding the chorale chord, it allows for a little bit clearer while not dry soundscape. Difficult to define when to use it. Of course you have to have it, and also you have to know how to use it. And he doesn't indicate that, so perhaps since he wrote it in 1892 in Russia, most likely he didn't have a middle pedal on his piano then, and the resonances were just a question of colorizing, voicing. If you play the chords bluntly, obviously there will be two harshly clashing. But if you play the same chords voiced with the top, let's say, octave, even with the right foot pedal only, it becomes a little bit more 3D, a little less bunched, but more spread, and of course totally spread with the middle pedal. Whichever way, it has to be downbeatish, heavy, contrasting between the pleading and the assertive. The pedal should be there to give that external enhancement of the resonance, as if the sound of the piano as bells of churches would be sort of exponentially expanding, when in fact it decays by the nature of the situation. And then the middle section, perhaps with very short pedal, but always we started with a push on the downbeat of the first beat. Боже мой. I got in Russian, exhaling. That's why I insist to separate the weight from the heaviness, meaning it can be heavy when it's soft dynamically, as it dense, intense, as it can be, of course, heavy when it's loud and screaming, but it doesn't have to be always loud to be heavy. It can be heavy even when it's soft dynamically. Like the indication pianissimo for bar 3 of this pleading chords, with tenuti on each, means to be heavy, and not evaporating resonances à la Debussy. In reflections on the water, compared to here. Of course, when you play it loud, that's different, but when you have to play soft, it has to be heavy. Because it's downbeatish, and because it's a mourning, and at the same time it's a powerful exhalation. And gives that sense until the very end, when he has the coda with the chords, which is so reminiscent of the opening of his second concerto. Of the bass, and finally settled just in the second concerto. Texture is so much Rachmaninoff's signature of piano writing, as well as the music of the early Russian tradition, like for instance in Boris Godunov's Mussorgsky crowning scene. The succession of these dominant 7 chords in inversions, obsessively so, like that sense of heaviness, really. Woo. Is so opposite to the upbeatish music of most of the Western style. On an upbeat to arrive on a downbeat, and here it's starting on the downbeat. And we start. It doesn't have to be cut and interrupted that long, but it should take a clear restart articulation with the pedal just cut before, to avoid the temptation to make it into an upbeat. It is not, it's tia tia and not tia tia. It's not. any of the upbeat music, which most of it is, it's I want to tell you how much, and here is rom ta ti tom rom. So I think it's important to learn from this how to play deep without to play always loud, as well as when it's soft dynamically, how to play clear while still with a resonance for the chordal expression imitation of bells, with the middle pedal or not, but it possibly could be a combination of the two also, because it allows them to have a compartmentation and not dryness. And then the very quality of sound, those crossed thumbs like in Schumann, in fact to enhance the octavization, and then less the feeling harmonically. Speculating and playing with how creatively I'm going to voice this or that, because it's not about being smart, it's about finding a way to three-dimensionalize that very, in fact, bunched structure of the soundscape, and this length of sound, the resonance, and then that sense of gravitas in the pacing of this slow procession that has something majestic about itself as well as something tragic about this C-sharp minor, and is bunched in the agitation of the middle section, which in a way takes on both the lament and the asserting. It's such an iconic piece because it talks directly to the human soul. It doesn't go through the brain. It goes directly to the gut, to the emotion, to the expression of intense build-up of expectation, and then the sense of releasing all this tension. Grand rather than loud, deep rather than heavy, but heavy also when it's soft. A sense of grounded drama. And I find that the dynamic markings going from fortissimo to pianissimo, as indicated, often are overstated in the desire to do well, obviously, because we read fortissimo, then we read pianissimo, and then again pianissimo. So we play these almost like soft, as if we don't want to wake up the baby, careful, you know. But I still think that this element should be on a different sound range compared to these. So if it's pianissimo, it can be still heavy, voiced, as well as the assertive is voiced, so that you can feel like perhaps it's not totally pianissimo, mezzo piano, but at least it has that spectrum of resonances, and it's not either screaming, either muffled. It's in fact always juicy in the resonance, even in softness. And then while rising melodically with the interval of the fifth. Isn't it? Why not now? Or something almost heroic going up, but in fact diminuendo. So it's rising interval wise, dynamically dropping. A bit like 101 ending. It rises, but it drops dynamically while it rises melodically. And here you have this, it could have been after all these chords. dynamic feel for rising when dropped dynamically, but rising interval-wise. Listen to that. In a way, this contradiction in the intensity of the psychological expectation of the ending to be either totally dropped with resignation, or at the same time trying to rise a last stand before to drop. And it sort of summarizes the duality of the two elements, the assertive and the pleading. I read that in it. Perhaps he didn't mean it, didn't mention it, didn't imagine that it should be. After all, it's in the eye of the beholder, in this case, in the lover of the piece, to respond to it with all our passion for it. Because it so powerfully talks to us, whatever it's telling us. And it's obviously something different to everybody else, but still, I think there's some things that are universal in this storytelling, beyond being fully Russian in its character and style and agogic and the way he even spells his sentences in music. His nostalgia and this sense of drama and this sense of horizonless, empty, endless spaces. Spasiba, thank you.